Broadcast partners, Wall of Honor member, Brad Daugherty.
Good afternoon. Did you notice the only time you saw Coach Wilkens frown is when he was talking to Larry Nance? You know what? He's telling Larry, will you please pass the ball to Brad so we can score? I noticed that. The other thing I noticed too is either everybody was busy or I talked too much, because I'm on a lot of those videos doing all the talking to all these people, so maybe it's me, I don't know. But anyway, glad everyone's here. Congratulations to all the inductees. What a wonderful day. I mean, this is outstanding. The over-under, by the way, on Austin Prime is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So, you know, you go back to 1986, and you've heard it chronicled, where the franchise was in 1983, and Gordon and George Gunn purchasing the team and beginning this journey. And then we get to 1986, and we find this franchise is in a really tough situation because we don't have a GM and we don't have a basketball coach. Gordon and his brother George were tasked with the job of going out and finding someone that could lead this basketball franchise, push it forward into the realm of being competitive, as well as embracing all these wonderful fans we have here in Northeastern Ohio. They did an unbelievable job, because when they showed back up, they had Lenny Wilkens. And when Lenny Wilkens walked into those doors at the Richfield Coliseum, everything changed for this franchise. This franchise went on to become synonymous with being competitive night in and night out. It became synonymous with class. You hear me say this a lot. Class, dignity, effort, and composure. You heard Larry talking about Coach Wilkens and his demeanor. And I'm telling you, it was the best demeanor for the basketball team we had at the time. We had a lot of really smart basketball players, guys who loved the game, embraced the game, and enjoyed the game. And the wrong type of coach would not have been able to get every ounce of effort out of the players. When you have guys who really think they're smart, pushing them in the wrong direction is the worst thing. Lenny Wilkens was a godsend. He spoke to us, he treated us, and he drove us like professionals. He treated us like men. He demanded respect. He demanded dignity. He demanded you be a high-level professional. And from that, we started. And what started there has continued on to today. I sat back and I was going to write this big, long, eloquent speech, because I like to talk, as you can tell. And as I clicked on some numbers, I was blown away, even though I knew a lot of them. I just jotted down a few because we have a game we have to get to tonight. Or we would be here a long, long time talking about the accolades of Lenny Wilkens. First and foremost, as a college player, he was inducted into the College Basketball Hall of Fame. But as a professional, I want you to listen to this. Naismith Hall of Fame, in 1989 as a player, 1998 as a coach, 2010 as an assistant coach with the Dream Team, which played in 1992. 1996, he was selected to the 50th anniversary team. 2021, he was selected to the 75th anniversary team. 2022, Coach Wilkens was named one of the 15 greatest coaches in NBA history. 1994, he was NBA Coach of the Year. 13-time NBA All-Star, 9 as a player, 4 as a coach. 1994, 1995, Coach Wilkens set the NBA record for the most wins in NBA history, 1,332, which has since been surpassed by Coach Nelson and most recently, Greg Popovich. I'll say it again, the epitome of dignity, class, respect, honor. In short, when you say Lenny Wilkens, it's synonymous with excellence. Oh yeah, and in 7 years here, he won 316 games. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to induct Mr. Lenny Wilkens.
it's been a long ride, a great ride. And I definitely feel that I've been blessed along the way. You know, we become who we surround ourselves with. Those people have a huge influence on our life. And I've been one of the lucky ones. My dad died when I was 5 years old. And I had a very tough, strong mother. And growing up in Brooklyn, and World can tell you about that because we come from the same area, you know, wasn't that easy. But my first role model definitely was my mom. You know, she always encouraged us to be as good as we could be and to be proud of who you are and where you come from. And those were early standards that she kind of set for us. But then there was the parish priest in my neighborhood. I went to was Holy Rosary Catholic school, and my mother was always worried that I'd be hanging out with the wrong people, you know, because we had a lot of gangs in that area as well. And she would always talk to Father Mannion and say, you know, maybe you need to put something in his ear or say something to him, you know. And so I did the whole gamut when I was a kid. I mean, I became an altar boy. The reason I became an altar boy because people said I couldn't learn the Latin. Well, I wanted to learn Latin. So I became an altar boy because the Mass was said in Latin back then. And to this day, I still remember a lot of Latin. But, so Father Mannion would see me. And yeah, there were times when I'd get a little frustrated, a little pissed off. And he would always come up to me, and we, as kids, called him Iron Hands. Because when he grabbed you, you couldn't get away. And he would hold me and he'd say to me, you know, who promised you? And I used to get upset. But then I began to understand what he meant by that. You know, who promised you that life was going to be a cakewalk? It's not. It's going to be what you make it. And so that was one of my first role models. And growing up in Brooklyn, the thing to do was either baseball, stickball, handball, punchball, boxball. I played all those sports. And I was a huge Dodger fan. And I had the great privilege of delivering groceries to Jackie Robinson's house. And I got to talk with him. And he was an incredible athlete. And he was very intelligent. And I used to go to Ebbets Field all the time because I could get in for 50 cents. And I would go to Ebbets Field and I would watch him play. And he was a fierce competitor. But he also played with intelligence. And I said to myself, wow. I mean, just imagine to be able to compete like that and also know exactly what you're doing. And so he became a huge role model of mine. And as time went on, you know, you remember these people because they've had an effect on your life. And I was very blessed. When I came into the league, there were only 9 NBA teams, and it was very difficult. But I had guys who looked out for you, who encouraged you to be as good as you can be. You know, Bill Russell, Andy Johnson, Guy Rogers, Wayne. Wayne got your attention by the picks he used to say, okay? You know, he wasn't as gentle as he sounds now, all right? But, you know, you remember all these things, and they have a lasting effect on you. I've been blessed. I have a strong wife, strong family, and they're very important to me. I can remember Wayne calling me and talking to me about coming to Cleveland. And as Campy said and other people, you know, it wasn't the place people wanted to go at the time. But I had played here for 2 years under Bill Fitch. And Bill was a tough guy. But you could never question his desire to win. You could never question it. How he went about it, or I tried to explain it, was a good lesson for me as well, because we didn't always agree. But when I was traded here, I was a player coach, so I had some coaching experience. And when I came here, well, I didn't come right away, because the Cavaliers had a reputation, the Cleveland Cadavers. And you know, and now who was a player coach, who was with a team that had success, I'm going to be traded to Cleveland, and I couldn't imagine it. And so I decided, you know, the writers were all over me, and they were talking about coming, and I said, I'm not coming. And at that time, the ownership was a guy named Nick Maletti, and he and Coach Bill Fitch flew to Seattle and came to talk to me and my wife about coming here as a player. And I couldn't believe it, you know? I mean, it was interesting. And I decided I'm coming, because I felt like, you know, I still had some good years I could play. And when I got here, Bill loved the game, but it didn't always come across to his players. And I could see that. And the reason I could see it, because I had been around people like Jackie Robinson. I saw how he related to his teammates, you know. There's Father Mannion, how he worked with the young people in our neighborhood. And, you know, if you want people's attention, you know, you gotta make sense to them. You gotta talk to them as human beings. You gotta make it interesting. And so when I came here, I'm gonna tell one story about Bill. But you know, he loved to watch video. Nobody watched more video than Bill. And so we come to the locker room, and he'd have, we watched 16 millimeter, I think it was. And it would be sitting there. And the guys knew that he wanted them to watch it. And everybody was always a little bit nervous about it. So I'd just turn it on, you know, let it run while we were getting dressed and BSing and whatnot, you know. And, but anyway, Bill wanted to win in a bad way. So finally, we're on a road trip. Austin was a rookie, you know, and we had a good time. But we came back off of a road trip, and we didn't do that great on the trip. We won one good game. We beat Seattle. And so we get back to Cleveland, and we had lost the last 3 games, and Bill was upset. And Bill had a bus waiting at the airport for the team to take us to Baldwin Wallace for practice. And all these guys' wives are waiting for them. You know, my wife was in Seattle, But, and we get on the bus and we go to Baldwin Wallace College, and he's practicing us. And we're practicing, you know, and he's still upset. And finally, he stops practice, and he says, all right, all the centers on the line, run wind sprints. All the forwards, wind sprints. All the guards, wind sprints. And he just kept doing this. And my knee was a little sore you know, because I had banged it on the road. And he never let anybody sit down. So I went and sat down. And now all the guys are looking at me, you know, and he made the centers run. He made the forwards run. And then he said, all right, practice is over. So we're in the locker room, you know, showering. Guys are upset, ticked off. And it's like they're waiting for me to say something. Because when I came there, they immediately made me captain and, you know, play a rep and everything. So I didn't say a word. I got dressed, and when I came out, Bill Fisher was waiting for me. And Bill, you know, he sees me and he comes over and he says, "What's on your mind?" I didn't say anything. So I just looked at him. I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "What's on your mind? You know, what's on your mind?" So I said to him, "Well, what'd you teach us tonight?" And he kind of looked at me, you know. I said, "What did you teach us?" I said, "You punished us because we weren't that good, but you didn't teach us anything." And I said, "And we'll run through the wall for you if you're going to teach us something." And so hopefully we learn from one another. And after that, I thought things got a little bit better. But then years later, Wayne called me to come interview for the job. And I had seen the Cleveland draft. I knew who they were drafting and everything. I knew what the team was going to look like, the players. And so I came in for a meeting. And I don't know if you remember it, Wayne, but we came and we met with Gordon, with Dick Watson, Thaxter Trafton, you know, a few people on Gordon's staff. And so we were talking, and one of the things they said to me, well, Thaxter Trafton said to me, "Well, we'd like you to take a test." And I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, we'd like you to take a test." I said, no. I said, "I'm the one who gives the test." And Gordon broke out laughing. He said, "I want him." But you're very fortunate, this franchise, to have ownership like Gordon and his brother George and Lully. I got to know all of them. And we had the greatest fans. And I tell people wherever I go, the best fans that I ever experienced, and we won a championship in Seattle, and we had great fans there, but was Cleveland. The Richfield Coliseum, the Snow Belt, we had 20,000 fans every night. It was amazing, you know. And this franchise, and I'm so happy the way you're playing now. You know, I still watch the games. You know, it's in the DNA. I can't get rid of it. I watch the games on TV, and of course my wife gets on me sometime because if I see something not right on the court, I express it, and she says, "They can't hear you." So, you know, she said, you know, but I watch the Cavaliers. They got a good young team, and I like the way they play. You know, I think they're doing a good job, and I'm really proud. I'm proud of the time I spent here. You know, I mean, it was a great tribute, and like I said, I feel that I've been very blessed. I've had a chance to travel the world. You know, we've won a championship. You know, I've coached the Dream Team. I also I coached the Korean national team. They had in the Asian Games, I was asked to coach them and help put that team together. And I was very happy about it because I went to Korea. I took my son, who was here with me, and we helped select the team out of the 10 teams. They had a pro league there. And we went to China and played the Asian Games. And prior to that, they had never finished above 7th. And during that time, I got them to the finals. And but I couldn't sit on the bench because I wasn't Korean, you know. And they lost to China in the final game, but they won the silver. But it was a great, great experience. And I've met so many people over my lifetime that I feel very blessed. And I'm blessed because on a lot of those trips I had my son with me. You know, my wife traveled a lot with me also, but she doesn't want to do any of that anymore, and I can't blame her. But to be inducted into this Wall of Fame, I take it with a lot of pride. I really feel real good about this. I'm not like Austin, I'm not gonna cry, but I want to tell you that you are lucky, you're blessed. You got a great franchise here. Treasure them, enjoy them, support them, you know, and thank you for the tribute to me. Thank you so much.